I still remember the stress of growing up in my family. I haven't been out on my own that long, but I'll never forget some of the tensions when I was a teenager. At the time, I didn't know how important a family was. I remember the fun of family get-togethers. But I also remember sometimes when it wasn't so easy to be in my family. Wow, I can still picture some of the arguments I had fighting for my rights. Anyone who has a brother or sister knows that fights can be terrible. I know my brother and sister and I really went at it. My younger brother would get into my things all the time. My older sister acted like she knew it all, and there I was in the middle. But it was really hard to see my parents argue. Now I know that even the healthiest families have their share of arguments. But boy, at the time, it was awful. For me, some of the biggest problems at home came from trying to live up to my parents' ideas for me. I remember my parents wanting me to take out the trash, mow the lawn, babysit my little brother, and of course, always keep my room neat, a real slave. I often wondered how much was fair. Sometimes it seemed like it was too much. It took me a long time, but I finally figured out we could get along better if I would mow the yard, and then sometimes negotiate on other chores I really didn't like doing, such as taking out the trash. Another area that bothered me a lot was that I felt my folks sometimes were pressuring me in grades, athletics, and particularly who I was friends with. I was afraid to let them know I was unsure of myself because it would seem like I was weak or something. And then I hated trying to keep up with my older sister. She got straight A's. And it seemed like she had a room full of trophies from swimming. It was pretty tough competition. The important thing I learned, the hard way, was to compare me with me, not with anyone else. So instead of trying to compete with my sister, I started trying to do well at the things I liked doing best. And I risked doing some new things, even if I wasn't very good at first.
It's from our families that we learn the earliest lessons in life. Lessons that will have much to do with the kind of person we become. However, even as our families protect us and shield us from a sometimes hostile world, it is within the family itself that we first learn some of life's harsher lessons. A big stress that can occur in some families is divorce. When Eric heard that his parents were getting a divorce, he wasn't sure he could handle it. But his friend, Greg, has been a big help. Greg's folks are divorced, and Eric found that talking to someone who's been through it helped him to adjust to the situation.
I won't kid you. It isn't easy when your folks split up. Sometimes you feel split and helpless too. At the beginning, I was really mad at my dad about leaving. But I know now I need both of my parents. At first I thought I might have caused the divorce some way. I thought if I made better grades or helped more at home, it would solve the problems and bring them together. I understand now that my parents got divorced because of their problems, not because of me and my sister. I know now that we still have a mom and dad who love us. They just don't live together anymore.
Divorce isn't the only stressful situation that families face. Moving can be a very stressful experience for the whole family. Adjusting to new neighbors, new schools, and new friends. The stress of moving can be especially intense because, again, it's a situation beyond your control. Sometimes it helps to talk your feelings over with your parents. In other situations, though, such as divorce, your parents are sometimes part of the problem, and you have to turn to somebody else for advice. Friends are often helpful. And when troubles at home get to be too much for you, a teacher or a counselor at school or church or a family friend can listen and suggest better ways to handle your problems. Remember, some of the stresses in our lives are beyond our control. But even in these situations, the one thing we do have control over is how we handle them. Sometimes the hardest job is to figure out what is bothering us and the confusing feelings we are experiencing. And for many of us, the easiest thing to do is to ignore the problem in hopes it will go away. But in the long run, that's not the most helpful. Holding in feelings is like stuffing as much of your junk as you can in a closet and then trying to close the door. The door gets harder and harder to close as you put in more and more stuff. Finally, you have forgotten about it and you open the closet one day and wow, out comes everything. Unresolved feelings are like a packed closet. The junk doesn't go away, and sometimes it just falls out and makes a bigger mess. Instead of letting stress get in the way, try to find ways to cope with your problems and make room for more fun in your life. Eric discovered that to talk with his friend Greg helped him think more clearly about his parents' situation and figure out that he didn't cause their divorce. Moving to a different school or neighborhood can be an opportunity for new friends and activities.
For me, trying to find a comfortable spot in my family wasn't easy, but it helped me know who I am and what I want to be.